Not voting.
I said, well, she used to be a model fashion model in New York. My son was number one.
The only thing that's different is what Carolyn said, that the SFB had approved was the insurance of $1 million that the architect has for the, there's a sheet like a $3 million.
Okay.
Please stand for the pledge.
Say no.
Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Mr. Sabal?
Here.
Dr. Gomez? Mr. Berain?
Here. We're going to start with public comments, which is out of order generally at a normal meeting, but do you have anybody who wants to address the board?
I didn't get anything.
Okay. Action items number 2A. Discussion action on the approval of the architect firm for the Arizona Facilities Board project for Douglas High School. Ms. Salmonego.
Good evening, Mr. President and governing board members. As presented, we are bringing the contract for Sketch Architecture Company so that you may approve it as our architect company that's going to be working on this SFB project for Douglas High School. And you have before you the information, background information, the contract, draft contract, and the final version of it was submitted to us late Friday afternoon, but I've reviewed it. There are really no changes on anything except the word draft is not in it. And Rob from Sketch is here. If you have any questions, he'd be more than glad to answer them.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be questions. I've got several myself, but before we, just kind of like, look, if you excuse me a second, a little housekeeping here.
Okay?
Explain to me again why the project's already been approved, correct? This board's already approved the project, correct? So item B, when we look at that, we will have already hired the architect by virtue of doing that right now, right? But that is in conjunction with B as well, right?
On the way, yes.
Yes, but Carolyn, who's been working with us, and she's the lady that's consulting us through this, advised us to have this as a separate action item, because I asked that same question. Wouldn't we be hiring the project management company along with the architect firm? And she said to put it as a separate item.
But, and I hate to use this, sine qua non, what comes first? The architects? Or
Yes.
then they come first and then this? Okay. All right. I'm sorry. If you step back up there again, I just want to make sure that we do this
Right, yes.
procedurally legal.
Totally understand.
Okay.
I'm Rob Bergheimer. I'm the principal of Sketch Architecture. I'm here tonight to answer any questions that you might have about myself or our company. And so we're very excited about this project and ready to get started. We've already laid a lot of the groundwork already, and we're going to try to hit the ground running on this project. So we want our ultimate goal here as a team is to have this school open for 21. So that's our plan. That's the direction we're moving. God willing, everything will go well, and we will have we'll be able to have kids in August of 21. So
Good. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. I'm going to have some questions, but first of all, I'm going to defer to members of the board if they have any questions regarding, and I would think that the questions would emanate from the agreement with them. If not, if you just have any other general questions, go ahead, Mr. Romo.
I just have one on your soft cash. Any idea how much the amount that would be?
for the construction,
Yes.
that's the white elephant in the room here, number. We're all working on that. The $16 million budget that the SFB has funded for the project is an all-in number. that we are working as, we're going to be working very quickly as a team. We've talked to the CM group as well about establishing those numbers early on. It's my philosophy in doing these projects and having done many of these over the years, that a budget is not a one-time deal. It's a constant living, breathing document that we are constantly updating. We're massaging. There is going to be lots of teeth gnashing here, trying to get this thing, as I said earlier, we're going to get blood out of a turnip from the state as much as we can here. So, that is the tough question right now. We want to make sure that everything is allocated equally. So the 16,500,000 and something thousand and some change is an all-in number. What we want to work with is establishing all the soft costs for the project, including our fees, construction numbers, furniture, fixtures, equipment, technology, those kinds of things. We're all going to be working through all those, and then we'll be working backwards to a number that that we'll have for bricks and mortar. But I think we all know intuitively that's going to be a tough fight. So we're prepared to be your champion and to get you as much as we can. As I've been known in the past to take a penny and turn it into wire because we've pulled it on it so much. So that's what we're going to be doing here.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a
Go ahead,
quick
Matt.
question, thank you. When you say you've already laid the groundwork, can you describe to me what that encompasses?
Well, we've been talking with the SFB already. We've also had pretty good discussions with the CM as well, and your consultant, Carolyn, about the project. We've engaged the town of Douglas already on this project, and I've requested documents in their archives. In fact, I was just there a little while ago in their proverbial dungeon looking for documents, anything we can find on the campus. It's been a long time since anything's been done there. So anything we can find is worth its weight in gold. We don't want to spend unnecessarily on money on things in construction that we should have known about. So as much as we can find now is going to be well worth the time and energy. What I am trying to do right now is I'm trying to get my team members involved. Molly Smith is a facility planner, and Molly will be working with the district and the school board and staff on facility programming for this project, and I'm trying to get things ready for her. Believe it or not, we are running down of time to get that process done, so we need to move quickly. People will leave. That process usually takes about 10 to 12 weeks to get done. She's going to be conducting meetings, interviewing staff, faculty, administrators, and students, families, and developing a program for us that will be the guide for this entire project. We know that we have to build an 87,500 square foot box. What we don't know yet is what's all going to go in there. So that's her job, will be to actually talk about the wants, the needs, the goals of the project and the staff. This is going to be our one chance to really bring this building and this campus up to current educational requirements. Molly will be working on that. It takes about 12 weeks. Believe it or not, 12 weeks is going to put us almost to the end of May. So we want to, before everybody breaks for summer, we want to be done with that process. Otherwise, we'll lose people and input. So I want to get going on that.
What did you find at the city, anything?
I did. I found some drawings already, and we're working on that. I just talked with some staff about getting some CDs as well, so we're engaging in that.
And did you happen to check with the utility companies to
Not
see
yet.
what they've done in the past?
Not yet, yeah. Yeah. When we interviewed for the project, we talked with the utility companies, so I knew where our sewer and water and gas and electric were coming from and the direction. One of the things that we're going to be doing during this process, it's going to happen kind of not linearly, but a lot of things happening all at once. And so what we're going to be doing, my team is going to be doing is gathering information. We're going to get the property survey done. We're going to get as-builting done. We're going to be digitizing the campus so that we know where our square footages are, where all our space is, where we have excess space, where we're deficient, those kinds of things. We'll probably also be looking at some deficiency items as well, things that maybe need to be funded through a different source. So we'll be looking for opportunities like that. I know we've been hearing we have problems with the fire alarm system, and that is certainly a life safety issue. So that may be something that we can pull money from a different pot. So we'll be looking at those kinds of things. We know we got a challenge with the cafeteria that we got to look at. I've already looked at the grades over there as well. So we have done some work already.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Small.
Have you looked at the school as a whole already?
I haven't done a complete tour. I've been on the campus several times already. I have not been each and every room. That's one of my first order of business is to really do that. So
And the schematic will be ready when?
our hopes is that by end of June, mid-June, we should have schematics approved, or we should have at least a conceptual floor plan together. We pretty much intuitively know where it's going to go, where this building's going to go. But I want to test that. I don't want to come with a preconceived idea. I want to look at everything we can. So we're going to be evaluating several different options, including different building technologies. We're also going to be working with your consultant as well in terms of market conditions. We're closely monitoring that. This is a market-driven profession. It's like the stock market rising and falling. Construction's just like that. Where I want to take advantage of our current political climate that's going to be happening in the fall. I think my gut response is that we're going to see a downturn in the economy in the fall, which might go very well for us in terms of trying to bid out a project at that time. So I'm looking at a certain timing issue as well to take advantage of the market conditions. Please be aware that we're working with budgets that I did 20 years ago for buildings. They haven't changed in 20 years, so we all know what's happened in the market in 20 years. So we've got some challenges to deal with here, so.
Has your firm been involved in schools before?
Yes, my thesis, I'm a U of A grad. I grew up in Tucson, by the way. I'm a U of A grad, and my thesis, it was on education. So I've been doing education design. I've done many high schools in the Phoenix metro area. I also did Vail High School, Cienega High School, which was the first high school that was funded by the state. Did George Smith Junior High, which was the first junior high funded by the state. I haven't done a new SFB school in a while, but things haven't changed that much, trust me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes, okay, just a couple of real minor things, because I don't know the acronyms. What's SFP mean?
School Facilities Board.
Oh,
That's
from
that's
from
the
Department
that's the
of
state.
Education.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's the first question. The thing that kind of caught me right now by surprise is, when you're talking about $16 million, what are you talking about?
That is what the state has allocated for the project.
The SFB has awarded us that amount of money to complete this project, and it sounds like a
It's
lot.
just gonna be like a $100,000 building.
Oh, no,
Oh, no.
no.
But even with that money, that's a struggle for us to
Right.
be able to do everything we need to do with that.
With that amount of
I'll
money?
say with that little amount of money.
Okay.
It seems like a
Yes,
lot,
uh-huh.
but
Sounds like a
believe
lot,
me,
but-
it's
Yeah.
not. So,
And then my last question, okay, you're going to have a project management firm.
not me.
We
No,
will.
I know,
You
but,
are,
I
yeah.
mean, we're going to do that.
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
So what, you might not know, but I'll ask you anyway. So you're going to draw up the plans for what we're going to do,
Correct.
okay? The project management, what do? They
They'll,
run the project?
they're going to explain better about that. I think they're best to explain that for you. But I look at it as a team. Okay, we're a team. We're all part of the team. We have our different roles. I think one of the things that we're going to discussed as that we've already met already, is we're going to work together as a team. Now, I think what you need to understand here is that big districts, big school districts that do a lot of building, a lot of work, will have a lot of in-house people already in-house. And I think that in this situation, we don't have that here. And I think it's going to be very valuable to have that representative here to help you, assist you with a lot of this in-house work that's going to have to be done. You know, a lot of our job is just tracking down information. They provide a lot of excellent expertise on certain aspects of construction that we're looking forward to tapping and using on this project as well, and working with us. Very knowledgeable group of people. I'm very impressed with them. I've worked with all these big management companies, and I think you got two really outstanding guys here tonight. And I'll let them talk a little bit more about their role, but I think you've got a good fit here that's going to work well and complement this team of people.
Thank you.
Okay, my questions are going to be driven by past experiences and in another life as well, all right? And I want to make them hopefully simple, and then we can not race through them, but we do want to get through them.
Sure.
And they're all going to be pertaining to the agreement between you and the district.
Correct.
All right.
Okay.
The first one is, do you have a copy of the agreement in front of you?
I do have it in my briefcase.
Okay, it's all right. I'm sure you're totally familiar with it.
I am. Thank you.
All right. Part of the first question is on page 7 of
Okay.
20, where it talks about the control of and responsibility for the construction schedule, and I talk about the schedule, remain the responsibility of the contractor, okay? Is there going to be any type of a penalty clause built in? You've dealt, I was going to ask you about your past experiences, but Mr. Sabal did. So you know the importance of schedules in school districts?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So will you have number one, and I'll get to that in another part of the contract, will there be a penalty clause?
Yes. Every project that I've ever done for any school has had a liquidated damages clause, which is what you're asking. Now,
Right.
these are interesting things, and we can have a lot of talk about this, but essentially, you want a hammer to keep the project moving along. We have to be very careful when you use liquidated damages clauses, because if it's too aggressive and it can't be done, okay, then you're penalizing somebody that you can't physically be done. So all they do is throw money at it when they're bidding the project. You know what I mean? So there's a very careful interplay between what is realistic and what is fair, and what is a premium, and what is, and so and these liquidated damages clauses really come down to sometimes it's been ruled in the courts that you have to show actual damages too. So you could set them at crazy numbers like $1 million a day, for instance, and somebody would challenge that and say, hey, guess what? What are your actual damages? Well, you can't just make that any number that you want. In retail construction, these are quite common, very high numbers, because they're losing revenue from sales. Here, we have a fully functional school, we have students. What are those damages really going to be? Those are things that we'll have to talk about. As a team, we'll discuss that, and we'll figure out what's a fair amount. I definitely want to make sure you got a hammer. I think what we're talking about is not an all-call kind of construction project. I think we're discussing a selected group of people. So I'm of the opinion that fairness is very important, and honor and integrity means a lot in my world. And if somebody is not a good person, we wouldn't be asking them to be bidding our project. So if they have a problem meeting schedules and all this, why we wouldn't be talking to them. So I don't think this will be so much of a problem for us. I think if we had a all-call type of bid situation where we would go on the street and let anybody bid the project, yeah, you might want to have a very, very stiff liquidated damage number. But think we're talking about a selected group. So there will be something, I think it should be fair, but not overly unreasonable.
No, understandable, but there has to be something there.
Oh, yeah,
because
totally.
As you're aware, there's, the inconvenience is a liquidated damage, especially when you're dealing with schools. And I don't want to extrapolate that, but you understand that.
Oh,
And then
yes.
if you look at page 8, at the bottom of the page, it talks specifically about defective work not remedied, and these are your responsibility with the contractor.
Correct.
And failure of the contractor to make payments to subcontractors, and then those will be arbitrated by you and not necessarily the district.
Yep.
But the last one is reasonable doubt that the work can be completed for the unpaid balance of the contract sum. And then, of course, whether or not the district, through the funds, through the State Facilities Board, would be forthcoming to pay those people.
Yeah, let me address that real quick. As the
Yeah,
arch-
well, I want you to, yeah.
Yeah, the architect, the way the architect's role in construction is that our job is to be the gatekeeper for the quality, okay? Years back, the architect had the responsibility of stopping the work, okay? We don't do that anymore because stopping the work, the courts have ruled that architects were responsible for construction safety. And so the architectural community about 40 years ago said, no, we don't want to do that anymore. So the way the current construction model works now, we're the gatekeeper for money and quality. So if something is being, every month the contractor is going to be submitting a pay application to the team. We'll be reviewing that based on the progress of the work, and we'll be evaluating the quality of that work. Now, we never pay for things that are not meeting the requirements of the documents. So if substandard work is done, he doesn't get paid for that, okay? So they'll have to, that's what this is talking about here, is that if there's non-conforming work, they don't get paid for that work, okay? But if the work is good and it's progressing, then we'll authorize payment on an incremental basis. So they only get paid for the work that they've actually produced, okay? Not work that they might do or materials and goods that are not on site. They don't get paid for that. They only get paid for the work that's on site. So it's an incremental process. A lot of people in residential construction will pay money up front and hoping that he'll return out. That doesn't happen in commercial construction.
No, and you have a schedule for payment as well.
Yes.
Let me just ask you this question, and just for clarity.
Sure.
On page 9 at the bottom of the page, in the last paragraph, it says contractor credit claim by the owner for additional work approved or work deleted by the architect in a manner not specified in this contract, or the contract shall be borne by the architect unless the owner excuses the architect. Explain that.
Which number are you on?
Are you on 10?
I'm on 1016,
Okay.
and it's at the bottom of the page, last paragraph.
Yeah. What that basically means is, as the architect, if there's something as I'm walking through the project and a small minor thing needs to be done, I can authorize that work to be done. That's what essentially that's the normally what this is talking about. It is minor changes to the work. I can make direction in the field. Okay, in construction, time is money. You've got to make decisions on a timely basis, and if there are small inconsequential things or things that can be deleted, we can make those decisions in the field and keep everybody moving and work progressing. So that's what this paragraph is talking about.
Yeah, but that's absent a change order. In other words, you can go through when you're doing your walkthrough and you see something needs to be done. I've seen a major problem with that before, where actually the architect and the owner, which is the board, then they have a disagreement as to what that was. So forget that just for a second and talk about change orders. Those change orders are going to be borne and authorized only by the board and not by anybody on site, even the architect, unless you bear the cost, correct?
Right. No. Right. We're not going to authorize items that are going to be costly. That I'm not going to be paying for items. Okay. We all know there's no extra money here. Okay. We go into this project understanding that. Okay. I think the key to the success of this is building a decent contingency in the beginning to keep the project moving along, okay? So that if there's an unforeseen condition, for instance, let's say that we encounter a pipe or we encounter something under the ground that we didn't know about or nobody could have foreseen, okay? We can't sometimes, we're gonna have to make decisions quickly or if it's a very small item, okay, and we can't delay the project just because we got a small item. So what we may do is elect to have a contingency put in, a reasonable contingency to keep these projects moving along on small things. Obviously, if something major happens, we'll have to come back to you and say, okay, this happened, here's what happened here, it's gonna be additional money, that kind of thing. The problem that we have, as we all know, is we don't have any more money. So we've got to work kind of backwards. And I think that's gonna be our strategy here. You can't, every project's gonna have problems and issues and
But
problems.
let's talk about change orders, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk specifically about change orders. A significant change order that is necessitated by whatever the circumstances happen to be. You're going to be working with somebody that the board's going to designate as our representative. They're not going to be authorized to, and this is important to me, because as I said, I've seen it happen so many times.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not going to be able to deal with, say, Mr. Soto, the chief financial officer, is the designee of the board, that you go to him. He can't be calling the board every other day and saying, that we ran into, as you well know.
Oh, yeah,
And
of
we're not
course.
going to convene the board.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going to have some authority. So is he going to be the one we're designating? Are you going to recommend him on it to be the representative? That's normally the way it's done.
Yeah, yeah.
But change orders are only going to be approved by the board, significant ones,
Oh,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, exactly.
Well, let me tell you, let me tell you another project, okay? I did Marco Stiniza High School for Tempe Union High School District, okay? That was about 50 million, okay, okay? We didn't have any change orders at all, okay? And that didn't mean there weren't problems and issues and things that came up, but we had contingency put aside to handle that. Now, there was a select group of people that managed that contingency. So it wasn't like, hey, we can go use that for anything we want. No, it didn't work like that. But there's some cushion built into that so that we don't have to constantly come back for every little thing that would come up. Because there will be stuff that happens. There's no question about that. But we have to build that in the very beginning as part of the project. That's the best way to handle it. Because otherwise, it's going to be contentious. It's going to be a nightmare for everybody involved because there's no extra money, so we have to work backwards on this situation. So that's the only way to work it. Obviously, our experience of 40 years for myself and my partner, almost 60 years as being an architect, it means a lot in terms of making this thing happen. I don't anticipate problems. I think there may be changes that the district might have. So for instance, as we're in construction and somebody walks through, people are not visual, but when people start walking through and we take people through for tours and everything, people go, oh, you know what, I need an outlet over here, and I know we talked about it, but I forgot, or I just realized I needed that. Okay, fine, let's go put an outlet in. Okay, that's the kind of things that I'm talking about here that I'm expecting. There'll be some of that'll happen, or this has never been done before. It's not like buying a car. In construction, there's millions of parts and millions of decisions that you make up front, and 99% of them you make the best ones you can. But there's always going to be a couple that you're going to go, oh, we didn't foresee that issue. Okay, let's get it fixed right now. So we'll have to come back. And if it's a district requested item, we'll be coming back and reporting back and saying, okay, we had a request for this change to be done.
Right.
And you can decide if that's worth funding or not, or whatever. That will be your choice.
But the eventuality is always there for change orders. I mean, that's why it's specifically written into the agreement. So, and of course, it's on your page 10.
Yeah, I want to point out one thing on a change order. Change orders are nothing more than a change of scope, time, or money, okay? So, for instance, we may have a contract construction timeline for 300 days. Well, let's say we get a month of rain, okay? The contractor may come back and do a change order for days extension, okay? But that didn't mean that it costed us more money, but we do a change order for time. So it's not always about money. It's
No,
always.
but the significant thing is the money. We understand that about time. But if you're on site or something comes up just extemporaneously and you say, oh my God, we need to do that, that's going to cost several $1,000s, then this board has to be looking at the cap on the money we have, and we want to make sure that we want to go through with it. And as you say on page 10, you say the architect shall prepare change orders for the owner's approval
Yep, that's right.
and execution in accordance with the contract. And then this is the important thing, no change order for either change in the contract amount or change in the contract time, which you alluded to a minute ago, shall be effective without the express written approval of the owner. There have been times, you've been in the business 40 years, you've
Yeah.
known where you've had a problem. You come back and said, you know, it's going to cost you $25,000 extra dollars, and we're only working with 16 million. You know, how are we going to get? That's why it's important to the board that every single change order of significance come back to the board. Okay?
Got it.
Okay, good. It's in the contract.
Yeah,
You
got
know, I
it.
just want to clarify it.
Yeah,
And then the board does need to designate a representative of the board for you to work directly with, right?
right. That would be the most efficient way to handle it.
Right. And that would probably be who? Generally, they work with the business manager on projects like this.
Yeah, I think that's common. It can be a superintendent, it can be, I'm sure there'll be like an executive committee, would be my suggestion, of a select group of people, so that everybody knows what's going on in real time and we're updating. And our plans are that during construction, we would be coming back and reporting to you at your board meetings on how we're doing, what's going on,
Yeah.
what's happening, those kinds of things. So
Yeah.
it's not going to be done in a vacuum, so.
Okay, just want to move along quickly.
Sure.
I promise that we do it quickly. And then you're going to retain the drawings and all those things, but the district will have available to them for the manuals for maintenance and all those kinds of things. It's specified here, record drawings, shop drawings, technical data. That will be made available to the district, to the maintenance people.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I mean, we'll release our firm will release our CAD files. So
Okay.
I don't, they don't do me any good to keep them. So with a client like this, everything that we have, my partner is very fastidious about documentation and everything. And so at the end of this, we're going to hand you a zip drive, and you're going to, everything we have, you'll have. And quite honestly, it'll be much more organized than it would be if I just handed you boxes, because we're going to have crates of stuff.
No, we know, and it specifically says in here that it's your property, but you do say later that if the district wants you, will make.
You will get it, you'll have everything that I have.
One last thing, the reimbursable expenses to your firm.
Yes,
Once the board employs you,
yep,
and you have to make a trip down here to do inspections, and you travel down here to board meetings or whatever,
yep.
those expenses incurred are part of the agreement that you're going to, that's part of the contract. That's not an extra expense to the school district, that you're not going to submit a voucher claiming mileage or per diem or lodging or anything like that.
Now, all that is built into our fee
Okay,
already.
exactly.
So the only time is after that, or there would be something in addition or something like that. The reimbursables are, in this situation, would be any building permits that we might pay for in advance. If there were any printing, so any kind of printing. In fact, I thought there was a number we originally talked about, not to exceed $2,000, I think it was on there, or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's just mostly for printing. I've already built in my per diem. Our family has a house in, my parents live in Tucson. My son goes to U of A, and we have a house over in Portal. And so I can stay in those places, but quite frankly, it's very reasonable here in town, so I'll probably stay here. So
Okay, very, very good, and appreciate that.
Yeah.
And again, not only in this district, I've seen it before, I've seen it in a lot of other places where then you have to get an arbitrator where you come in and they try to, somebody gets a contract on all of the HVAC systems in the district. So every time they come down here, they run up a big bill at the hotel and all kinds of expenses. And you say, wait a minute, you got the contract, why should we pay all your expenses? That's part of your responsibility.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Good, great question.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. I
Okay.
don't know if the board has any other questions.
He, our president asks very specific questions. He likes to read. But when I see it, I think, no. But anyway, my questions are very general. So, in the scheme of things, we contract you, we give you the business, right? And then we contract the next item on the board, the management. Who selects the construction company?
Well, that's undetermined yet. There's two ways that we can go with that, okay? The one is to do an all-call, what I would call an all-call, which we would advertise out into the construction community, and in this location, might go as far as El Paso. Then we might attract somebody from there, or Tucson or Phoenix metro area as well. Sierra Vista is certainly a good resource. There's a lot of large contractors in Sierra Vista. We could do an all-call, and it's a public, anybody that can bond 16 million or whatever that number is, they can bid the project, okay? That's one way to do it. I think what we're going to present to you is a case of a pre-selected group. And the reason why that's good is because you want people that have a proven track record, that can perform, that do a great work, that are interested in the project. I come from I had a very large architectural firm, 175 people, 4 offices in the Southwest. We did public work projects and governmental projects. And you just never know who you're going to get on those things. You might get a really great guy, and you might get somebody like, who is that? You know what I mean? Nobody even heard of him, and on a whim, he bid it and made some mistakes, and he's bidding the project, and he is going to be a nightmare from day one because you don't even know who he's grabbing from. Because, you want people that have a proven track record. So we're going to, I think the idea is that we want to maybe have a pre-selected group that's pre-qualified. So there may be another interview process that we're all involved in, CM and us and the school district as well. And we may pre-select a few people. And the benefit of that is they don't have to worry about bidding against some unknown person. They already know that there'll be 3 or 5 other people maximum that are bidding this project. That might be more interested to them to getting the project than an all call. So part of the thing that we have to do as a team is we have to, in this market, we're going to have to drag people in and get them interested in this project, coming down here. This is why this is a great project. Come down here and bid on this project. We'd love to have you on the team. So we may be soliciting people to get them involved in this project early on. And that is the best way in this day and age to do projects like this, in my opinion.
I like that because when I've been talking to my son who lives in California, who's a civil engineer, he says a lot of times people bid, but they don't have the money to finish.
Yeah.
And he says, and so the project dies.
Well, they bonded.
Yeah.
They're bonded.
He was talking about a certain bridge that
Yeah.
was going from Sacramento to.
Yeah.
I said, what happened to this bridge? He says, they ran out of money.
Yeah, on this project, because we're working with public money, there'll be what's called a performance bond that will be required. It's required by the state to have that. So what that means is that company will be, the performance bond means that the bonding company is ensuring that they will finish the project. That's a requirement for public money, anytime you're doing public money. And that arrangement will be, so if they do file bankruptcy in construction, that they will guarantee that the project will be finished. So that has a cost. It's about 1.5%. So it's $300,000 or $400,000 of money that's going to be spent for insurance, but that's essentially what it is. So
You're familiar with the schedule that's included, that was provided us, where it says construction documents will be July the 13th through August the 24th. Then it comes back and says that those documents will be reviewed, and then that the issue to sets of those documents to contractors is set for September the 23rd through October the 17th. Are you familiar with the schedule?
yeah, I produced that schedule. That was the schedule that we brought in for the interview, okay? We've already lost about 2.5 weeks already on that schedule already, but we're going to try and make it up. We're moving as quickly as we can right now to get moving forward. So that schedule will be a living, breathing thing as well, and we'll be updating you on that schedule and where we're at and adjustments. That was our original swag, if you will, scientific wild ass guess. So that was but that's the direction I'm moving right now. So to bid it in the fall.
Okay, members of the board, any other questions or comments? Administration, you have any questions or comments?
No.
Really want to, yes, do you?
No.
Really, really want to thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure.
And-
I'm
and
really
providing
excited.
it, and we're looking forward to, provided they approve you tonight, to working with you.
Yeah.
After all
And-
those questions.
And we're looking forward to a very successful experience, and it's going to take a lot of time, and we hope that it turns out to be very successul, especially for our students.
You know, I have a long history. I think I mentioned this at our interview committee, but I grew up in Tucson. And I used to raise cattle. In fact, I still do. And I used to come down here as a kid all the time. And so it's really a thrill for me to come back down here and visit this place that I used to come down and spend a lot of my youth down here in the cattle industry. So I'm excited to be down here. I enjoy the drive coming down, and very excited to working with you. You know, we're gonna be your advocates. You need somebody to be your champion, and that's how I handle things. People that know me know I'm not a pushover, and but I'm a fair person, and you're our clients, and we're gonna be your champion to get as much as we can for you.
What
And
high
your
school did you
kids.
graduate from in Tucson?
I went to Sabino High School.
Yuma?
Sabino.
Oh, Sabino.
Yeah, I was Tanque Verde School District kid.
No, I had a nephew that went to Sabino and played a lot of football there.
Oh,
Anyway, they
Small
may,
world.
if you like Douglas, they might be able to get you an honorary Douglas High School diploma when this is all done. It's successful completion. Thank you very much.
I think it's more going to be a Purple Heart, personally.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Really
Appreciate it.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve architect firm for the Arizona School Facilities Board project, and that firm to be Sketch
Sketch.
Architecture Company.
I move to approve.
By Mr.
Second.
Lindeman, second by Mr. Sabal. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes,
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Sabal?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Berrain?
Yes. Item 2 is the approval, and we don't have anybody here.
Yes, they're here.
Oh, are they here?
They're here,
Oh,
yes.
great, come on up. And this will be the discussion on approval of estimating the Plus LLC for project management services, and that'll be you guys, so go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. So I guess our role as project manager is essentially owner's agent. And as an owner's agent, it's all about our fiduciary responsibility is to protect the asset of the owners. When I say protect the assets of the owners, make sure that we get the best bang for the buck and that we get what we want given the situation. I'd like to, if I may, just fill in on what Rob was saying over there earlier on, because a lot of that we work with Rob, but we certainly, that's our area of expertise. First of all, change order management. One of the things that we advocate is that there are unforeseen circumstances that nobody can account for, but other than that, there are no change orders, period. And we're a stickler on change order management, and we make very, very sure if somebody talks about a change order that we scrutinize it, we pull it apart, and we analyze it, and we like to throw it out if possible. So change order management is something that we look at. We basically will put a schedule together if people do present a change order. And by the way, there are positive change orders. One of the things that we get into is called value engineering, where after a contract has been awarded to a general contractor, we'll sit down with them and we may do value engineering with them, which has a positive impact and actually reduces the cost of the contract. So there's change order management in both directions. But certainly change order management, we will keep a roster of all the change orders or proposed change orders. We'll only bring them to the owner after we've scrutinized them and probably thrown 99.9% out of the way. There are some scenes which we don't have any control over, but for the most part, that's change order management. The other thing that I'd like to point out is as far as documents, you said all documents. I know Rob said that all his drawings will become available. We'll have a recordation of all of the documents pertaining to the project. That'll be up in the sky. It'll be there to memorialize the construction for future looking backwards and to be able to see what's happening as we go along. So recordation and making sure that the contract is kept on track, that site meetings are handled and that minutes are kept correctly, and anybody can go back to site minutes at any time. That's our job as project managers. We have a live example which I'm quite excited about and I'd like to share with you, and that is we're constructing a school at the moment, probably about the same square footage, 83,000 square foot. We're happy to say that through value engineering and through our methodology of cost construction containment, we brought this price in at about 22% below the number that schools are being built for in the valley at the moment. And so we really are obtaining a super duper school over here, very, very good finishes, a smart school, and we're bringing it in at about, we'll save approximately $4 million on that project. Be happy to share the numbers with you at any time, but that's something that we can draw on and use the information because it's live information as we go along at the moment. As far as our role is concerned, starting off at the SD, the sketch design drawings, we start working with the architect, and our job is to literally work together and in conjunction with the team to analyze every possible way that this thing can be put together in the best possible situation. We were chatting about this a little earlier on. There's different viewpoints as far as school is concerned. Typically, an architect has one viewpoint, an owner has another viewpoint, and everybody, builder has a different viewpoint. Our job is to bring it all together and make sure that it all kind of makes sense as far as you're concerned. The one thing that I did want to mention, you talked about, and I think Rob mentioned it, and he's quite right, we want to go with what's called qualified select bidders. We know that that's the correct way to go in the current market. That's how we were successful in obtaining a top-notch contractor for the one that we're working on at the moment. The way that select qualified bidder works is, and I'm terribly sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Alan Levine, by the way, and this is Charlie Bauer, my partner. But we'll actually get out there and we'll walk the streets. And when I say that, we'll analyze and find a list of potential contractors. And before we even invite them to bid, we want to find out philosophically where they are. is this something that is of interest to them? Is it meaningful to build something that will be better for the kids? Is it something that they have the infrastructure and the capacity for? And then we'll sit down with them and analyze and say, this is the design, and let's get real, guys. We're not burning dollars over here. And we'll go through each and every aspect with them, often spending several hours with them, so that by the time we put our qualified select bidders group together, we've got a group that are interested, motivated, and that are hopefully going to turn in the right prices. And the other thing that we're absolute sticklers on is we want to know in their infrastructure what subcontractors they're working with, because a general contractor is only as good in today's marketplace. If they're not self-performing, they're only as good as their subcontractors. So we want to know who their subcontractors are, and sometimes we'll go down, in fact, very often we'll go down a second level and work with the subcontractors and get a better understanding. We're doing a situation at the moment where we decided, because time was an issue, to go with tilt-up concrete panels as opposed to construction with traditional CMU construction masonry units. And the reason we did that was after checking the labour force, the availability of labour, and speaking with some of the subcontractors, that felt like it was the right thing to do. Dollars and cents wise, on paper, it looks as if it's about even Stevens with CMU, but when you analyse the time factor and you take all other considerations into account, we're well ahead of the curve on that. So that's the kind of thing that we want to do, is not only work with the GC, but with their subcontractors to make sure that we have the right contractor with the right infrastructure and the right subcontractors to do the job. And I guess at this stage in time, the way that we perform is it's all about value engineering. Even as we go along on the job, there's going to be all kinds of little things that are going to come up. A silly example, we worked the other day on windowsills throughout the classrooms, and there was a certain dollar amount allowed for a hard simulated cement sill, and we worked with the builders, and we came up with a better solution, something that's rot-proof, it has got a long life, and that's going to cost about 2/3 the cost of the money. So value engineering is key, and as we go along, value engineering is what it's all about. So on the positive side, on change order management, value engineering can be an integral part. Anyway, hopefully I've given you just an overview of a few of the items that we kind of watch out for. And I'm in your hands at this stage. Any questions?
Members of the board?
Do you have a question?
Mr. Lindy?
Yeah, please. When you mentioned subcontractors and on down the line, is there normally, if they're qualified, an ability to hire local people?
Oh, absolutely. And that's key to the situation. When we talk about subcontractors, generally that's a subcontracting firm. But what we'll do as a matter of course, because it's absolutely great politics and makes good sense, is we'll have a job fair, and we'll absolutely invite the town to bring everybody in. We'll advertise it, and we'll put it out to the complete town that any local labour at all would be welcome, and we'll actually have our subcontractors there and hopefully hire a bunch of people. That makes eminent good sense.
Okay, great. And I've forgotten Dr. Gomez's question but I thought that was a good question. Now here I forgot that
The
you
role
asked.
of the project manager.
Yeah, thank you. Now, what is the role of the project manager? I think you touched on it a little bit.
So the role of the project manager is literally to be an owner's agent, a subject matter expert at the table. There are schools that have tremendous infrastructure and they've got tremendous expertise in-house, and oftentimes they can handle it. But we found from our experience that that's few and far between. After all, a facilities manager and or the staff don't build schools too often. So our role is literally from beginning to end to be owner's agent and to make sure that everything that takes place, we want to shave a bit of money here and there. We want to nip and tuck where we can on project. One of the things we look at is we'll look at the contractor's Gantt chart or project management chart, and we'll make sure that they're on schedule, and we'll work with them to make sure that if there is any creep, what we're going to do about it to rectify it. And usually you can take care of creep. There's obviously certain circumstances that are sometimes beyond control, like incremental weather conditions, but for the most part, it's critical critical that we analyze creep, we catch it, and we nip it in the bud. So, yeah, we're there basically to look at change orders, to advise on. I think the key where we can really save the most amount of money is to really go out at the outset and work with the architect on the conceptual management, on the conceptual estimates with the sketch drawings to make sure that we're designing something that fits within the framework of our budget. And no secrets, yeah, we are working on a tight budget over here, but there are many ways to skin a cat, and that's obviously where we come into the picture. So during the SD or the sketch drawing stage, we work very, very closely with the architect. I'm impressed with Rob. I think it's going to be a great situation because he's got the right philosophy over there. But we'll go through the 3 stages: the SD, the design drawings, and the final the construction drawings. And all 3 stages, we work with the architect to make sure that materials fit. And I think Rob, from what we can make out, is a stickler for detail. But one of the things that eliminates change orders is the correct specifications and the correct design so that the drawings are complete. We've seen shabby drawings, and those are the ones that usually cost money, and that's where change orders come in. And working with a good architectural company that has good, tight specifications, our job is to just check and double check and work with them to make sure, and that's going to eliminate a tremendous amount of the change orders.
Just one more question.
Sure, go ahead.
You know, that piques my curiosity. When you said you're already working with the school and you're saving them money, I would hope that that would happen with us. And so then we could add the things that we weren't able to do the first
Well,
time.
let me say what we've done with this particular school. We brought it in on budget, and we've been able to really put some superior finishes into the school. I can name a bunch of them, but I don't want to get into detail and waste a whole bunch of time. But at any stage, I'll be happy to go through the details with you. But we've really been able to bring some high quality, good stuff into the, for example, video cameras. We've been able to find cameras at a price, and these cameras are really way ahead of the curve. Facial recognition, access control before you gain access, 10 seconds before, take a picture, 10 seconds afterwards, take a picture. Little Johnny's on the campus and we don't know where Johnny is. We can see where Johnny is, that kind of thing. So those are the kinds of things that we like to get involved with as far as the material selection is concerned.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Ramos? Nobody? Members of the administration?
No?
I'd like to take 5 minutes, just so everybody knows that I'm not just silent.
It's up to that gentleman there. Are you an equal partner?
I don't plan to be the silent partner.
Charlie is the senior partner over here. And I
The
certainly,
more information we have, the better.
sure. Please go ahead, Charlie.
I'd like to answer that last question where you said if you save money, can you use it to make a better project and use more of that money to buy things for the school? Absolutely. Good case in point, and I'm surprised Alan didn't come up with it. When we were doing the job and designing it, one of the owners said, what if we enclose this corner that has a roof area down on the first floor and move the roof up and make that space in there? Well, that space in there happened to be 6,000 square feet. It's in their budget now, and they're at budget. So not only did we build the original school that they wanted and the size that they wanted, but they have 6,000 square feet there that's basically finished space that they can use there to lease out to someone on like a community college or somebody right now, or when they gather students there and their enrollment goes up, they've got automatic room there for them to put those students in. So I think the real important thing is that we are your advocate from day one. We are your voice to the world, your window to the world of construction. We grew up in that business. We know that from the inside out, as evidenced by the fact that there's 45 years here on this side and 45 on that side. Little bit different parts. I came with mud on my shoes up through the ranks and into project management. Alan is a structural engineer by trade and has all kinds of experience. So when construction says something, we can interpret that for you. Here's what that means, okay? Just having been there and done that so many times, I think, and we're so proud to be able to do that. We're at the stage in our life where we're doing what we want to do now, okay? Not what we have to do, put bread on the table. And trust me, we love what we do. That's our business, is to go out there and get the best for these kids. That's what these schools are built for. It's for the children. We owe them a good education. We owe them a good facility to learn in. And that's our driving force every day when we get out of bed in the morning, is get them the best we can get for the money we have to spend as an organization. And that takes a team. And Rob said it very well. And I'll just expound just a little bit on the qualified select bidders thing. It's kind of a foreign term. Not a lot of people have heard of it. Ironically enough, the schools in Arizona are the only public entities that are allowed to use that delivery method, okay? And that's because we have canvassed the legislature for years to give us a way that we can get the most qualified bidders on a job. You don't have to cast it out to the street on a hard bid situation where everybody gets a chance to turn in their qualifications. And what the qualified select bidders list means is we can take all the qualifications from anybody that wants to send them in for this project that's interested in it, go through them on a selection committee and pick the most qualified 3 to 5 of those bidders. And now we know that we can have up to 5 very qualified. We have vetted them, we have interviewed them, and we know these are quality contractors that can do this job, and not the least of which they want to do it. And they're actually bidding on that job against 4 other contractors that are like them. It's not somebody that just Johnny-come-lately, happened to go in business last year, be out of business 3 years from now kind of thing. These are dyed-in-the-wool, good contractors that we know are going to give us a solid bid. And I think that's the secret sauce, if there is a secret sauce. And we go out and find those people and get these qualified select bidders, and we have 5 friends in the room, or up to 5. At Gila Bend, we only took 3, not 5, and I think that was even a better boil down, if you will, to get good contractors, and we ended up with an excellent contractor. Schools are the only ones that are allowed to use that. Thank goodness the industry has got it self-plumbed up, and usually the contractors themselves have gotten us in this position, and we're espousing that everywhere we go, for sure. So if you have any question to me, I'm happy to answer it, but Alan covered it very well, as he usually does. So I just wanted to make sure that you didn't think I didn't have a voice. So.
No, you added a good dimension to the whole conversation. We appreciate it. Members of the board?
I'm just curious as to which school you're actually working on at this point.
Gila Bend.
Okay, thank you.
And it is very similar in size and budget, so. And it's been an absolute pleasure. When we go down there to project meetings every week, and we see these children with the smiles on their face, and they're saying hi to everybody, it's just that much more oomph for us, you know? Because we have grandkids in the system, and one of us has great-grandkids in the system, and it's fun to give them what they need for an education.
Had you
Quality
worked with Gila
education.
Bend before?
Never worked for them before.
Any other questions? No. Comments?
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
No,
Thank you.
thank you. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
And by the way, the comments that I made regarding the expenses and travel and all those things is, this district itself has been gouged by that, but
Oh, yeah.
I'm familiar with other areas where the same thing has happened when people have had to actually get attorneys to say, look, you know, the contract included all those things, now you're submitting all of these horrendous expenses. It's happened in this district.
Absolutely.
So that's the reason I just wanted to clarify that, especially for them, that the business manager, the chief financial officer, he likes to be called, if he were to get something like that, that he would know that the board had already made it clear with you that there wasn't going to be anything like that.
Absolutely.
There wasn't going to be any vouchers or expense vouchers submitted to the
Outside of-
district for expenses
When
outside.
you ask
the
those
contract.
questions, we say it's in there.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
thank you all very much, and we
Thank you.
appreciate your expertise, and again, the travel down here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We need a motion. We need a motion
Yeah,
for that.
But before we get into the motion, I want to know if we need to include in that motion We need to designate somebody. Would you rather have some time to think about it, Anna, about who you want to designate as the representative?
No, I'm all right with CESAD, or as Rob said, maybe the small executive committee. So normally what that has been looking like right now is Mr. Walker, principal, Mr. Soto, and myself.
Well,
Or if you want, we can have CESAD be the one contact person.
well, the committee could work in conjunction, but I think it's best, and of course, the contract calls for it, to designate somebody. And I think the best person to do that would be, and I know he's overwhelmed anyway. And
No, he is not.
and somebody who does a wonderful job anyway, and I'm thinking of Nano Quinones. He thought I was talking about him.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding, no.
no. I'm like,
Okay,
no, please.
so, I think,
I
go
think
ahead.
members of the board can become available, if, as a, kind of like on the side, just looking in.
Oh, so you can observe all you want. I mean, you can go and be a sidewalk engineer all you want. But if any one of these companies or entities feel,
They have to go through.
yeah, that they need something, then to convene the board over, that's gonna take, and it could happen formal decision by the board. But they will work directly with him, and then he'll know whether or not he needs a contact. But certainly, we can come in and talk. Yes, did you have?
I'd like to just add, I'm sorry I'm getting you.
No, that's all right, go ahead.
I wanted to add something that I'd forgotten about as we were talking over there. And that's one of the things that we like to get the kids involved in the program. And what we do is we can create an education program where we actually get the kids to take a look and see what a piece of concrete is all about, why it's got rebar in it, how it all works, and actually take it from the site all the way to the classroom. And hopefully coming out of that are a bunch of kids that are going to be a little bit more inquisitive and potentially some good potential outcome out of that. So we do think that that is relevant, and I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay, here's what, entertain a motion to approve Estimating Plus LLC for the project management, and that Mr. Soto be the contact to not only the project management, but also to the architect. So I'll entertain that motion.
So moved.
By Mr. Ramos.
Second.
Okay, by Mr. Lindeman. All right. Any discussion? And then, of course, if you administratively want to have a committee, certainly you can do that. Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Sabal?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes. Anything else?
Nope.
Entertain a motion to adjourn
What's that?
by Mr. Ramos,
Second.
by Mr.